Now, a brief history of Fort Jesus. It was built by the Portuguese in 1593. It was mainly to secure their trade routes along the East African coast until the British. When the British now came over and took over East Africa, Kenya to be specific, they now turned it into a prison. And after they left, now it was turned into a heritage site, more of a museum, something like that. And today we are going to take you for a tour of it and see what it's all about. Now this is the entrance to the fort. Gazetted historical monument. The 15th century is when this was built, and it has stood the test of time, especially now that it was built near the sea. This is where you get your tickets to enter. Okay. Now once you enter, you pay for a ticket like this. This is 570 Kenya shillings. In dollars, it's like $4, I think. Now this is the entrance. This is the door. See, it was said that this was supposed to protect against wild animals. Is what I've heard. Now this is the entrance. Once you're issued a ticket like this, now once you were given a ticket like this, you're allowed to enter the gate. Now this is the entrance. And there's a map of the place so you don't get lost on how to find whatever you're looking for inside. There's a history of the fort. When it was built, 1593, like I said, it was built by the Portuguese as a military base. Yeah. And in 2017 is when it was put as a National Records and Archives Authority in the Sultanate of Oman in coordination with the Ministry of Sports, Culture. You can read that one. The museum was built and the fort opened to the public as a historical monument in 1960. Like there's a lot of information here, filming. Now this is the entrance of the fort. Look at how this amazing architecture has stood the test of time. Wow. I feel like I'm stepping back into history. This one was the captain's house. So the captain probably used to live here. Maybe let's see what the captain's quarters were like. Wow. To think in the 15th century, there was a captain who used to live here, where I'm standing right now. Wow. Amazing. This was probably his bedroom. Wow. Built in the 15th century. And it's still standing today. Now this is what we say about Mombasa has a lot to offer. Apart from the beautiful beaches, there's another dark room here. But apart from it, standing the test of time, I'm sure the government did things to ensure that the integrity of the structure remains up to date. Be it maybe something just small. From here you can see the ocean. Maybe someone used to stay here and look at the ships and blow a horn or something when ships arrive. Someone was here in the 15th, 16th century doing something that was considered to be important at that particular time. Wow. I don't know why. Oh, another place down there. I don't know why they put so many rooms downstairs, like they dug down under the ground, and they put so many rooms there too. Let's go in here and see what's inside. Look at that knife. Beautiful. 16th century artifacts. Pictures of what the place used to be, to look like. These are the Omans. Poa sana. Asante. What the place used to look like. Wow. See the ships. And what the port used to look like before. There is a lot of history here. Now once you come here, I won't be able to get into details of what Fort Jesus is really about. But once you come here, there are guides here for as low as 1,000 Kenya shillings, or like that's $10. You'll be able to find a guide. They'll be able to explain all these things to you in detail.
Unaona store ile pale? Ukitaka kuteremka mweze teremka. Teremka hapo.
Now, for a better understanding of what Fort Jesus is, I'd rather find a guide now who knows the history of the place, where they'll be able to explain it to you in detail. Mostly he'll be speaking Swahili, but I'll interpret it to you in English. A lot of activities here. Once you come here, you really feel like you're on the coast. This guy singing one of traditional Mijikenda songs. A lot of families, a lot of people here coming just to enjoy the history. Look at that. Like these are probably real canyons. Okay. So we're here. And the map of the place. Now where we are is Kenya there. Mombasa Island. The Indian Ocean. Tanzania. Mozambique. Probably the trade route. What Fort Jesus was used to guard was like the whole region here. Let's listen to him and hear what he'll tell us.
History of Mombasa. History of Mombasa.
This is the map of Mombasa. And Mombasa is an island. You see now it's surrounded by the Indian Ocean.
Una historia ya Mombasa.
Yeah,
Yote ni historia ya Mombasa.
hapo unaweza niambia kitu maybe kuhusu kama huyu mtu yuko pale ama hizi?
Hizi ni weapons.
Ah.
Arabs na Swahili. Sio? Swahili, the East African coast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Swahili. Some of them are mixed with Arabs and Indians.
Yeah.
But East African mixed.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Some they mix with Arabs, Indians, and some with Europeans.
This was the weapons. This is a beauty. It's inspired by now the Indians and the Arabs and weapons like you said.
This is an old model and this is a new model.
So these ones are hizi zilikuwa zinatumika na wao hizo siku.
Not Portuguese, East Africa.
East Africa.
The Portuguese go different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, like you said, these are used by the East Africans in the ocean, maybe for trading or moving around. And now this side now is where now we find the Portuguese. This was like their military attire. This is how they used to dress in the 15th century. These are Portuguese, a horn, trumpet, and mbiu. Buffalo horn, or mbiu in Swahili, a flute, a kibangala. Now this is now maybe the history of Swahili also. Swahili language. Swahili is a Bantu language initially referred to as Kingozi, speaken all over the world at the moment. And this is a earthen bowl, a traditional bowl made from fired clay used for serving, storing, or preparing food. Omani chopper plate, a large Omani copper tray with a sculpted zigzag notched rim. That one. A Swahili woman skillfully grinding grain on a traditional stone. This is how they used to make flour, by using those grinding stones. Now the Swahili traditional foods. This is called a coconut grater. Again, this is a Portuguese soldier.
Portuguese go. Portuguese walijenga fort mwaka 1593.
Yeah.
Historia ya kuchukua.
It was built by the Portuguese in the 1593. The history of the fort. Wooden ship bucket. Now these ones were used on the ships in the 17th century. This for storing or carrying water and other supplies aboard the vessel. That one. Now this is the architecture and the beauty of the fort. Now this is where the fort stands. It overlooks the sea. I think this is an example of one of the boats they used back in time.
From Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Iran. So, this is the historical in Mombasa, Baluchi, in history of Mombasa, from Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iran also. These are Persians. Baluchi are Persians.
Yeah.
So,
And this is how they used to dress the Baluchi. They are Persians. Mombasa welcomed a lot of people from its history. Now we have only now beginning from when the Portuguese built the Fort Jesus, but now there were a lot of people, a lot of cultures, a lot of people from different parts of the world who came because Mombasa is almost 1,000 years old. Festivals of music. These are the Persians and their musical instruments. And this now is how they used to dress. Wow. And some of their bracelets, earrings, homemade by the Baluchi. These were their jewelry. You can see now how they created this one. This was created by hand. For drinking water. They were built by hand, like you can see on the portrait there. And some of their foods they used to eat. And these are their embroidery, traditional Baluchi embroidery, known for its intricate geometrical patterns and very vibrant colors. This is them, making that. How their men used to dress. With the sword like the ones I showed you earlier. Walking stick. Sandals and the hat. And what their men used to carry. It's like a briefcase. So nothing is really new in this one. Because these were things worn in the 15th century. Now this is the history of the Baluch ancestry. Where they come from? It's mostly the Middle East and Asia. Is where they trace their ancestry. What Mombasa used to look like before. The coming of the Baluch to the land of zinc. They were fishermen, farmers, herdsmen, tradesmen, fighters, and with an eagerness to discover places. And that is what Mombasa truly is all about, discovering places. Mostly I've been showing you hidden gems like hotels. Now you get to see that discovering new places is not something that started recently. It's something that started a long time ago. Okay. Come back here to this place, and I'll show you now their weapons and all of that. Hello to families here.
Hii ilikuwa kanisa hii, unaona?
This used to be a church.
Hii
a Portuguese church.
Ilikuwa kanisa hii, lakini sasa Oman wakaivunja.
When the Oman came, they destroyed it.
Oman wakaivunja.
Yeah.
Sawa?
Yeah. Now when the Oman came, the Portuguese rule ended. And whatever they found here, they either destroyed or turned it into theirs.
Lakini usichukue video.
Now, yeah.
Mimi usichukue video. Sawa? Hii nayo ilikuwa ni tank ya kustore maji ya mvua.
Then this is where they used to
say,
keep water.
Hello. Shout. Sema nani? Yogopa na mwoga kweli. Sema hello. Hello.
It was a tank, this one for storing water, rainwater. Yeah. When it rained, there's a drainage system that used to empty water into here, but now when you want to pick it, you use a bucket and a string. And to think, 400 years ago, there were people here just living their lives.
This is an Arab anchor.
It's an anchor.
This is an Arab anchor. Nanga ya kusimamisha meli.
Anchor for the ships.
Nanga ya kusimamisha meli. Kama nataka kusimamisha meli ile inakuwa na kamba inaenda paka chini ile inafikia meli.
It's made of metal.
Tunde.
Omani well. Oman
wakachimba kisima.
Yeah. The Oman dug a well here.
Unaona? Hii ya mvua ni kunywa na kupika. Hii kidogo iko na chumvi ni kufua na kuoga mwili.
Yeah.
Kwa sababu kidogo kwa mbali kuna chumvi.
Yeah, he said like this one was a well for now taking a bath and washing your clothes. And then this one that I showed you was more for drinking water. So if you get on top, you might see water inside here. The well is deep, so deep. But it's a well that was dug almost 300 years ago. And it's still here. So that one was for the rainwater, and then this one was a well dug for washing clothes and taking a bath. Because now the water in Mombasa, once you dig a well, the water is salty, so you can't really drink it. But now for the rainwater, I think it could have been purified for them to drink, making it safe for them to drink. I don't know what they used to build this place, because now 400 years later it's still just as strong. These were bathrooms where they would wash their clothes and take baths. And for the Portuguese, it was down there where they would wash their clothes and take baths as well. Say now that one was a toilet. Let me try and get close. Show it to you. bathrooms where they would wash their clothes and take a bath. That is where they would draw their water from the well, and that is where their clean water was. And for the Portuguese, the same thing was down there. I'll show you once they move on a bit. I'll show you what he's explaining. So this one was an open toilet, but since there are only men here, so it was open. It was an open toilet. Just sit there, you do your business, and you leave. He's explaining this side, this is a grave. It's an example of a grave.
Kwa sababu Omani Arabs wali siege for 2 years. Sasa njaa ndio iliwaua, maradhi, maana hakuna supply chakula, hakuna supply ya madawa, hakuna supply lolote. Wankamu ndani 2 years without supply. So ilibidi wale wanaokufa waziko humo ndani. Wale waliofariki ilibidi waziko humo ndani.
Now, when the Oman seized the fort, the Portuguese who were inside here, when they died because there was no medicine or maybe food supply.
Excavated in 1990.
Yeah, when they died, they were buried here. And
but
this is just an example.
The real one is down. This is a replica cast.
Yeah.
Excavated in the same position.
Okay.
All right, come and see a whale. Come and see a whale here.
Wow, a lot of history here, a lot of history.
This is a whale. Do you know a whale? The largest mammal in the world.
Yeah.
At the age of 24. Ghost was shown the Kenyan coast 24 years ago.
24 years ago?
Yeah.
The whales are majestic creatures. They're the biggest mammals in the world.
The largest mammal in the world.
Yeah, and this is the bones of a whale that beached and died in Kenya. Told 24 years ago. Just look at how massive those rib bones are. Massive. And then this is the skull. Wow. Like the eye socket, the mouth, it is huge. Like one of its jawbones is taller than me. This is a hand-pushed trolley. For building the railway.
You can go, sir.
They were pulled by laborers. Now we are going to go up these steps. More history to be had here. There's steps, a bit steep. But manageable. Wow. This is an example of a ship. I think this was an Omani ship.
Hii room ya pili mtaona mavazi zao. Room ya tatu mtaona nchi yao. Hapo pako Omani masaa 5 kwa ndege. 5 hours.
Yeah. Saying from here to Oman, it's 5 hours. That's the Oman history. This is an elephant tusk. Some of the spices which they introduced to the Kenyan coast, like cinnamon, a lot of these are used up to now. That's why you come to the coast and you find a lot of diverse foods, because they were introduced from different cultures more than 400 years ago. These are stamps. These are some of their weaponry, like a gun and a sword and those bullets.
Omani Arab weapons. Yeah, these are weapons.
Yeah. And the next space is now where you find their clothing. More for what the ladies used to wear. Just part of their jewelry. And what the men used to wear. Because these are kanzus. Men here even wear this up to now. The next page, what like their houses used to look, maybe what they even look like up to now.
Na hii mtu alikuwa anajenga nayo ilikuwa miti ina gani?
Beef history.
Mostly for hardwood trees. Lakini walikuwa na prefer ilikuwa inaitwa teak wood.
Ambayo imekaa for all those years later.
The structure ni 200 years old. Hii ilijengwa in 1698. The Omani waliingia together. So sasa hivi inafanywa tu restoration.
Yeah, it was built along, like I said, 16th century, but now what they do is just more of a restoration so that the place doesn't get run down.
Military base.
Yeah.
To protect Mombasa Old Harbour and the Old Town.
Yeah.
Because of the sea entrance. So in case of any invading ships, the cannons distract the ships before invading the Old Town and Mombasa Old Post more than 500 years ago.
Yeah.
Local trade, farming and fishing.
Yeah. So it was mainly a fort. So anyone who took over the coast.
Video unairisha kwa TikTok ama kwa Facebook ama kwa YouTube. Ndo analikuwa na hapo.
Now the cannon.
This is the Old Town, ocean. Old Port Channel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Old Town, Old Port Channel.
Our security.
Yeah, where now the security guard used to stand and look over the sea. If there's any threat, now they fire the cannons.
This is for hand weapons.
Yeah.
Hand weapons.
Wanapigania hapa. In case anyone invaded and they came here, now they use like arrows and swords. Down there. Cannons. Cannons and guard post. In case they saw any threats.
Another watchtower.
It's another watchtower where the guards used to stand and look over the sea and see if there's any intruding armies. They sound an alarm, and now the cannons will be fired. Huku chini ndio penye walikuwa wanaishi.
Huku ni battle na Captain House ndio hii hapa.
Yeah. Now this was a battle area. The captain's house was where I showed you there. This one was just a battleground. A place to identify threats. Because you can see the open ocean. If there's anyone planning to invade, you could see them from here. Shop at San Matthias, Baston. Like I said, for Jesus, the British turned it into a prison. When you come, there's a lot of things you can buy here. So hapa palikuwa panatumika kama apart from hapo kuangalia threats. Hadi huko chini.
Hadi huko chini.
It was used as a battleground.
Sasa?
Yeah.
Hapa ndio last. Unaweza kurejea museum if you want.
Yeah.
Acha nitakuangalia nyingine sababu ikifika 5:30 wanafunga ticket tu. Sitakuangalia nyingine.
This is what now the Oman used to wear. The attire is carrying a sword, weapons, ready for war. Like you know Swahili. Swahili is a mixture of different languages. Arabic and now the local dialect. So it just shows, now this is some of the, like a coffee roaster, coffee cups, a kettle for making coffee, and a copper kettle. And these are real artifacts from the time of the Omani Arabs, what they used to have. The taking over of the fort by the Omani Arabs. The Omani takeover of the Portuguese possessions began in 1650. Now this is when they were taking over from the Portuguese. And the Portuguese were driven out by Oman by Yaroubi clan led by Nasir bin Murshid. The new rulers later directed their attention to the Portuguese dominions in East Africa. By 1878, for Jesus, Mombasa was the only remaining stronghold of Portuguese power on the northern part of the East African coast. So Mombasa is like a beautiful woman. Everyone wanted her from like the 16th century. British colonial rule in Mombasa. Over the centuries, Mombasa struggled with numerous foreign invaders and hostilities. The Portuguese rule in Mombasa lasted for approximately 200 years. They were overthrown by the Omani Arabs in 1650. In 1895, the British took control over Mombasa. Later, the Sultan of Zanzibar released the town to them. Short-lived British Protectorate, 1824 to 1826. Now, this is the history there. Colonial British stuff, that one. The British coins, their money, and the British colonial flag. The lion in the middle. The impact of British colonialism in Mombasa. Mombasa was part of the British colonial in East Africa. The region was under British rule from the late 19th century until 1963 when Kenya gained independence. Mombasa was a strategically important port city to the Kenyan coast, served as a key center for trade across the Indian Ocean, and provided access to the interior regions of East Africa. So Mombasa was and really is, because it's Kenya's point of entry for like new cars coming from overseas. Now this is where they come before now entering Kenya. See, now they're listening to music. Now this is like a music system. I don't know what it's called. Now this is like a Swahili family listening to old records. Local prisoners in Fort Jesus. Local prisoners in Fort Jesus include the following: Megastones. Megastone, nicknamed from his huge body frame and strength. These are now like a section of famous prisoners who've been here, and I'm sure mostly they were prisoned here for trying to fight for the independence of Kenya. These are some of their weaponry. This is a bow and arrow, a gun, and a revolver. It's a pistol. A history of the Baluch too. And the kapad, the traditional Baluch container woven over the fronts for the wild date palm dish. That one. That other one is a small flat handwritten bowl, basket, and the hallmark of Baluch craftsmanship. These were some of their everyday items. The Baluch, that is, and how they used to dress. On to the next section. Yeah. You see, now here you can find like a projector projecting images of now what Mombasa used to be in picture. You can just sit here and watch what we've already seen from all the other segments. How people were back then. With speakers and a fan, so when you're here you feel cool. Excuse me. Saying how Fort Jesus is a World Heritage Site. I think this is like a map now for Jesus. Of how the ruins are. Wow, it's a very, very beautiful place, full of rich history and culture. So when you visit here, you truly feel like you're a part of something great, like you're witnessing history. Now this is the court. It really is quite stunning. Fort Jesus. Fort Jesus. This is called the Mazrui Hall. Let's go inside and see what's inside here. Yeah, I think I will. So yeah, that's now a tour inside of Fort Jesus. It's a massive place. I'm sure there's a lot maybe I haven't shown you, but when you're here now, you'll get to experience it for yourself. But it really is. When you're here, you feel like you're part of something great. To think of all the rulers or how many people have called the Fort Jesus home over the last 400 years, you truly now get to take in the gravity of the importance of Fort Jesus and the importance of the people back then and all the like the Omani, the Portuguese, the British, and the fact that it's still here speaks to its relevance because all those people who now came over and took over Mombasa, took over the coastal region, they never destroyed it. They made it their own. They made because it was so significant and its placing was so, be it in battle or trade, it really is quite stunning. Our Kenyan flag.